the host of the Gridiron.
Fourth and goal to go with the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes a snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
All right, welcome to the Gridiron, baby. If you can give this video a thumbs up or maybe share this video, that would be absolutely freaking phenomenal. If you subscribe to my channel, thank you. If not, please go down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way next time I go live or if I put a video out, you'll be notified. And it's free of charge. What do you got to lose? It's totally free of charge. But if you are subscribed to my channel, thank you. If you want to help support my channel, description box below. It might be the second link now. They put there's another link in there, but it might be the second link. First or second link takes you to my membership page. I got 3 different membership levels. Each one has their own little perks to them. So once again, if you want to help support my channel, it would mean so much to me. And I thank you in advance. And then finally, no link underneath there somewhere. Takes you to my Facebook group. It's called the New York Giants to Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Basically, we have over 9,600 members in the group. It is doing simply marvelous, might I add. Basically, if I'm alive and breathing, and if I got internet access, I'm putting stuff in this group darn near 365. It's called the New York Giants to Gridiron. It's my Facebook group. Please join it. You will not be dissatisfied. I promise. All right, guys. Well, we got about 10 days to count down as well. I'm 10, actually. About 40 minutes from now, it'll be like 9 days. Whew, until the draft. And man, I'll tell you what, it is coming fast, ain't it? And we're still kind of, well, talking about the draft, huh? Don't write Shedeur Sanders off just yet. Coming in for a private workout with the New York Football Giants. Now, sometimes, obviously everybody's doing their, their due diligence. Right. Sometimes you bring guys in, right? Sometimes, right? You bring them in to see if there's somebody you want, really, if they check all the boxes, or sometimes you bring guys in to eliminate them, right? But, they're just doing a due diligence. Now, obviously, you don't know. And once again, it doesn't matter what we think. Okay, it doesn't matter what nobody thinks. If the brass, right, the New York Giants brass, the head honchos and all, think their jobs are worthy of taking Shedeur Sanders, they're going to take him. Hopefully, they're not taking Shedeur Sanders. And number 3, because we need a quarterback in the future. I hope to goodness not. If they take Shedeur Sanders at number 3, then, hopefully it's because he is, or they feel that he can be the quarterback of the future going forward. I mean, then they better be right because their jobs are riding on it, right? That is a lot of pressure for the Giants to perform at a better, higher level this season, obviously, than last year. But, they got to get a quarterback. Now, do they have to get a quarterback? No, they don't have to get a quarterback. It might behoove them. If they don't take one, obviously, maybe Shedeur, because possibly Cam Ward will be gone. Would it behoove them to take one maybe in the second round? Or, no. But then once again, they have to feel that they can work with the guy, right? Once again, it doesn't matter what nobody thinks. It matters what they think, right? But Shedeur is coming in for a private workout. So, once again, doesn't mean, the Giants are taking them. Doesn't mean they're not taking them. But Shedeur Sanders to hold a private workout for the Giants this upcoming week. Let's see. This is from some This is from the Steelers, right? Because the Pittsburgh Steelers have been linked to Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders in the 2025 NFL Draft, as the team had him in for a pre-draft visit this week. Well, he's going to have to slip through a lot of fingers to reach where the Steelers are at. The Steelers are going to have to jump up quite a bit to draft him. And there's been some smoke about it. Sanders falling in the draft. The Giants hold the number 3 overall pick in the draft, and they're going to get one last look at Sanders ahead of next Thursday's NFL Draft, as he's holding a private workout for a contingent of officials from the team in Boulder, Colorado, per Adam Schefter. Per Schefter. I'm Adam Schefter. ESPN sources. Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders will hold one last private workout Thursday in Boulder. So basically 1 week before the draft, he's going to hold a private workout for a contingent of officials from the New York Giants. Some final intrigue leading into the next week's NFL Draft in Green Bay. Absolutely. Keeps you guessing, doesn't it? Sanders is widely ranked as the number 2 quarterback in the draft behind Miami's Cam Ward, who is expected to go number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans. However, with the Giants and Cleveland Browns, who hold the number 2 pick and the number 3 pick, right, there have been rumors that Sanders could slide down the draft board. The Raiders are at number 6 overall, and the Saints are number 9. Now, let's not forget about with the Saints, right? Their quarterback, right, he's got a shoulder problem. Now, we're not sure. I'm not meaning he's got to get some type of surgery done. I haven't heard like the latest at all, but quite possibly, yeah, the Saints might be in need of a quarterback, right? I mean, big time. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, once again, I mean, the Giants are just doing their due diligence, but also they're, maybe they're getting their hands on it, see what he's got, right? See what possibly they might be worth. Maybe, and the Giants do wind up trading back. If the Saints want to jump up the number 3 with the Giants, have to wait and see. The Giants don't currently have a long-term quarterback option, with the team signing Jameson Winston and Russell Wilson. Sanders could be an option for the team at number 3 as someone to learn behind the 2 veterans, and he could also get a chance to compete for a starting job despite questions about his NFL readiness. With Shedeur Sanders' workout with the Giants in the news that Derek Carr, right, his shoulder, could miss the season with a shoulder injury, the odds of Sanders falling to Pittsburgh have seemingly decreased ever since his pre-draft visit with the Steelers last Thursday. While that visit went well in Sanders' eyes, the Steelers simply might not have the chance to select him. Yeah, I mean, unless they're gonna have to ante up to get him. I don't think there's any way in HEL hockey sticks he's going to get out of the top 10. No. Quarterback remains in need for the Steelers, especially with Aaron Rodgers' saga continuing to drag on, with him having to make a decision. While a first-round quarterback is already felt unlikely, Shedeur Sanders falling could change that. We'll have to wait and see. Giants are getting one step closer to drafting a quarterback. Shedeur Sanders at pick number 3 following the latest news. There's a rising feeling the Giants will kick things off in the 2025 NFL Draft at number 3 overall. The Tennessee Titans are largely expected to take Cam Ward out of Miami, and rumors around the Cleveland Browns going Travis Hunter are getting louder days away from the big day. So, right? I mean, that's what I've been hearing. Well, what you hear and what actually winds up happening could totally be 2 different things. But you've always been hearing Cam Ward, number 1. Now you're starting to hear Travis Hunter, number 2. Once I can't. If the Titans take Cam Ward number 1, can't blame them at all. If the Browns take Hunter at number 2, can't blame him. I mean, the problem with him is, you're going to put him at cornerback. You're going to put him at a wide receiver. You're going to split it, maybe 30 plays here, 30 plays there. Right? What are you going to do? I mean, that's the only conundrum you have with a hunter, right? Where you're going to put him at. But that's been like the kind of the you know, the stuff you've been hearing. I've been hearing, right? Is that Hunter possibly 2? So that leaves the Giants at number 3. But they're going to take Carter, who's like almost whatever you want to call him, blue chipper, can't miss prospect. Hearing all different kinds of things about Carter. Top 5 kind of edge rusher maybe in the past 5 years. Or this, that, you're going to take him because you can't have too many edge rushers, right? Or you're going to take Shedeur Sanders. Now, with the Giants taking Carter, whatever, 95% chance they're right. 90, 95%. Real good chance they're right with Mr. Carter. With Shedeur, if they take him at number 3, there's still, some skepticism that, he may not be the right guy. So we'll have to wait and see. But it is exciting, isn't it? Right? So in the eyes of many, likely with Shedeur Sanders and Abdul Carter on the board, right? The draft starts with the Giants go on the clock at number 3. And based on the latest news, the front office is getting one step closer to picking Sanders. At the very least, they're leaving no stone unturned. They're certainly doing their due diligence without question. That's because, according to multiple reports, the Giants plan to hold a private workout with the Colorado quarterback on Thursday, 1 week away from the first round of the draft. New York has done a lot of work on Sanders since the fall. A lot of work, right? Tom Pelissero reported on Monday. Now, one more look the week before the draft. The news could mean many things, perhaps a last look before ruling Sanders out of the team's top pick. Maybe an attempt to drive up trade value for the 3rd overall pick, especially with Carr possibly missing the season. I mean, it's horrible, right? Thinking, right? I mean, unless the Saints, I don't know what their salary cap situation is, right? But I mean, unless, if they can strike some kind of bargain with, or whatever, strike a deal with Rodgers maybe before he strikes any type of a deal with it, or if Rodgers even would want to go to the Saints. But I mean, here we are halfway through April, and the Saints are almost like, right? We need a quarterback. So, I mean, if you don't have a number 1 wide receiver, you can try, right? If you don't have a top guard or a top tackle or something like that, if you don't have a phenomenal edge, you can certainly try to make do and all that. If you got a quarterback, good luck, God bless. So, that's a possibility. Possibility the Giants are maybe just trying to strike up something where the Saints move up, the Giants maybe move back, or maybe the Raiders want to move up, and the Giants move back to 6. The only thing, is that you'd be losing out on Carter, but it is what it is. The Giants could use some extra draft capital. That is for darn sure, right? And whatever. If we go back in time, right? 2018, I believe it was. I think 6-3, right? So the Raiders are at 6 this year. Giants are at 3, right? 2018, the year of the Barkley, right? The Jets were at 6. The Colts were at 3. The Jets apparently, as the story goes, were calling on the phone. The phone was ringing. Gettleman was just sitting there looking at the phone, listening to it ring. But apparently, now if it's true or not, I don't know. But reports I've read, he looked at the phone and just listened to it ring. Didn't pick the phone up. The Jets were apparently calling to see if they could jump up to get Sam Darnold. Giants would have to drop back to 6. Now, they made a trade with the Colts. They went from 6 to 3. Colts, Quentin Nelson, right? Guy's not a bad offensive. The Giants needed an offensive lineman. Colts went from 3 back to 6. Got some dude by the name of Quentin Nelson. Of course, that's also the dude that Sexy. I think just I drove him back into the quarterback the last time we played. I mean, just manhandled. But anyway, Quentin Nelson's a pretty good offensive lineman. But for the Jets to move up, what they gave, right? So this would be something compatible, right? Comparable, whatever. They gave him 3 second-round picks as well. So not only did the Colts just go back 3 spots, but they picked up 3 second-round picks from the Jets. Now, might that be something they didn't get from the Raiders? Giants move back to number 6. There'll still be some really, good offensive linemen. There's somebody. The Giants, unfortunately, would miss out on Carter. But they move back 3 spots to number 6. Raiders jump up to number 3, maybe grab their quarterback, or the Saints jump up, grab their quarterback. The Giants obviously get some more draft capital. They got to fall back to number 9. But there's certainly some good players out there. Without question, the Giants can get if they got to move back. But they can get some extra draft capital. Now, just think what the Giants could do. Just say they got an extra second-round pick this year. Next year, they get another. Just say they fall back with the Saints, the number 9. Well, they might get the 2 firsts from the Saints and maybe 2 seconds or something like that. They might get pick number 9. They might get the Saints' first-round pick next year, and they might get 2 second-round picks or something along those lines. The Giants need that. Giants could use that. So we'll have to wait and see. But sometimes it's not always we're bringing a guy in because this is our guy. Now, sometimes it's, it might be blowing smoke just to drive up his value. Oh, my God, the Giants brought him in. This guy must be pretty good. Man, we need a quarterback. You think the Giants would trade at number 3? They seem to want Sanders now. And we might have to ante up an extra 3rd-round pick or something to get him. Do you think the Giants, so it could be just smoke and mirrors. But sometimes also, as you heard it, they bringing guys in not to, make sure they check all about, make sure they cross them off. No, this guy's not good. So, I'd say maybe an attempt to drive up his trade value, or it could be just a good old due diligence, right? That's what the Giants leave no stone unturned. But the update likely means 1 week away from the draft, he remains in firm contention to be the choice, which would land Sanders in quarterback room featuring Russell Wilson and Jameson Winston. Sanders at number 3 has been a controversial notion. On the one hand, the Giants want to win urgently, and Sanders could provide immediate competition. He could also beat Wilson for the starting job, even as a rookie, as well as a long-term plan. On the other hand, is a quarterback with a non-elite arm worth such a premium selection? Should New York truly pass on a talent like Carter's? Can never have too many edge rushers. That question will likely define so many things in the 2025 NFL Draft. Thursday's news suggests there is a high chance to pick as a quarterback. Well, we will have to wait and see. Now, let's not forget, right? We got Bernsey for another 3 seasons. Giants still have not picked up Kayvon's 5th-year option. Dun, 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 dun. They don't have to for another couple months. If the Giants were to pick Carter, I like Kayvon. Has he been a little disappointing at number 5? Yeah, but has he been a plus? To me, I think he's been. Be interesting to see what if the Giants hang on to him, what his worth is, and that if they try to make a long-term deal and all that stuff, and it'd be kind of interesting to see. But they have not picked up his 5th-year option yet, but they have to declare if they're going to within the next couple of months. So it'll be interesting to see if the Giants do wind up picking up Carter, right? Then they'll have Carter and they'll have Burns. Right, and for at least this season, we'll have Carter, Kayvon, and Burns, right? But if they do pick up Carter, this can free them up from re-signing Kayvon. No, once again, we will have to wait and see, which would save them some money going forward, right? So we will have to wait and see. But once again, just all could be just that the Giants are just doing their due diligence. Now, it'd be interesting, right? I mean, but unfortunately, this is not. Could we turn the clock back to 2004? Because in 2004, right, there was some pretty good quarterbacks, right? Unlike this season, right? I mean, there's Cam Ward, and then there's a drop off, right? Meaning in 2004, the Giants. Ernie, of course, he was also talking about. I said we either wanted Eli or we wanted Ben Roethlisberger, right? So quite possibly, if the Giants got shut out of the Eli and they couldn't make a trade or nothing like that or whatever, they were going to draft Ben Roethlisberger. So that might have worked out well for him as well too. But what they were able to do was, since there were a few really good quarterbacks in 2004, the Giants were actually able to trade up and swap picks with the Chargers. The Chargers got Phillip Rivers, and that worked out. I mean, for the Steelers, the Chargers and the Giants, I mean, none of them can complain. The only thing, obviously, the Chargers can complain about was, they never won a Super Bowl. Never got to a Super Bowl with Rivers, but Rivers was a really good quarterback. Rivers never lost to Eli. Anytime they went head to head, Phillip Rivers wound up winning. Right, so Phillip, his career was even longer than Eli's. Right, he had a very good career, very, very good career. So none of those can complain. The thing was, my point is here in 2004, right, is that, there's none of this, where the Giants pick the phone up, hey, Tennessee, we draft Shedeur, right? Would you be interested in Shedeur, and we'll give you some other draft picks to move up? Probably not. Quite possibly it's Cam Ward or nothing. They may not want. They may not want Shedeur, unfortunately. Right. Now, let's not forget the Giants, obviously, just to go up from pick 4 to pick 1, cost them some draft capital. Cost them their first round pick in 2004, cost them their third round pick in 2004. They kept their second round pick, 2004, where they drafted Chris Snee. So that wound up being really good for the Giants. So they got Eli Manning and Chris Snee in 2004. The problem was in 2005, they gave up a first round pick. And let's see, let me pick this out here. That's when there we go. That's when the Chargers really did well. Right, they took Sean Merriman, pick number, was it 12? So the Giants gave up their first round pick in 2005, which wound up being Sean Merriman, who wound up having a very good career. And then they took, they gave up their fifth round pick. So the Giants gave up 2 firsts, a third, and a fifth to go up 4 spots. I'm sorry, 3 spots, however you want to, from 4 to 1. Right. So, as I said, the Chargers drafted Sean Merriman. They also got Phillip Rivers. They got Sean Merriman. They got Nate Keating. And then they got Jerome Collins, a 5th round pick. So the Giants had to ante up some draft capital. But that's only because, the Chargers were looking for a quarterback. Right? Obviously. And the Giants, of course, he picked the phone up, called the Chargers, said, we got Phillip Rivers, would you trade with us? The Chargers were interested in Phillip Rivers. So the Chargers not only got Phillip Rivers, but they got some extra draft capital. That may not be the situation here. I don't think the Giants could pick the phone up and call, the Titans and say, look, we got Shedeur Sanders. Could we swap picks? We'll get Cam one. Don't think that's a situation. I can't blame one bit the Titans one bit you know, I mean, I you know, they are, you know, interested in possibly maybe trading out of but it looks like it's going to cost. It's going to cost possibly, you know, a few first round picks for the Titans to move, you know, even back a couple spots. So the Giants might have to ante up even more to go from 3-1 than what they did, you know, 2004, 21 years ago, to go from 4-1, right? It just, because I said back in 2004, they had Ben Roethlisberger. I don't see, were there any other quarterbacks taken that year? Let me see here. Who we got here? Let's see. Up second round. Where are we at? It's 2004? Okay, we got 2004. So you got Eli, Phillip Rivers, Larry Fitzgerald got taken number 3 overall. Let's see. I said Ben Roethlisberger made it to number 11. Sure, no. DJ Will Smith, Ryan. Oh, good old Vince Wilfork. Yeah. Nope. Don't look like it. No. So, you know, but you know, those 3 quarterbacks were all worth their weight in gold. I mean, you could have won a Super Bowl. Obviously, Ben Roethlisberger won a Super Bowl. He won. Let's see. He won. They beat the Seahawks, right? Then they lost to. They beat the Seahawks. They beat the Cardinals, and then they lost 2010 to the Packers. So Roethlisberger went to 3 Super Bowls, won 2. Right, his second season, 2005. Now was it 2004, 2005, 2004 or 5? No, 5. I'm sorry, 2005. Yeah, 2005 was the Steelers. 2006, we got Manning and Manning, 6 and 7. Peyton Manning 1 and 6 because the Colts beat the Bears. 2007, Eli Manning. So 2005, the Steelers beat the Seahawks. Right, so Roethlisberger got 1 Super Bowl. Right, and 2008, right, the Giants should have won back-to-back Super Bowls, but Roethlisberger, that was a real good one against the Cardinals. I mean, that drive they had at the end, that pass that Roethlisberger had in the corner of the ends, oh, what a pass. So he won 2, and then he went back to his 3rd one 2 years later, right, in 2010, but they lost to the Packers. Right, that was Aaron Rodgers' only Super Bowl win. So Ben Roethlisberger went to 3 Super Bowls and won 2. Eli went to 2, won 2. Phillip Rivers never made it to a Super Bowl, although, you know, if you gave him a good team, I mean, because the Steelers were very, very good. They had a good offensive line, very good defense, right? The Giants, obviously, when they won, you know, they had, it seemed like they really, the Giants really came around and gelled really well in the playoffs in 7 and 11, and Eli carried them pretty much in 11, you know. But I said Phillip Rivers, you know, given a really good team and all that stuff and everything, he certainly could have won a Super Bowl as well. So that's the difference, is that this year, you know, there's no trading up for the Giants. I think it's possibly with the Titans is either Cam Ward or nothing. You know, we want Cam Ward. If we can't get Cam Ward, give us a bunch of draft picks. We want a lot, right? We'll move back and we'll draft maybe they'll grab somebody in the 2nd round or whatever. But it looks like it's going to be pretty expensive for the Giants to move up, or any team. And once again, I don't blame them. You know, if the Titans, because they got, I think they have a new regime in there and all and everything. If the Titans feel, right, that Cam Ward is the guy going forward, you take him. You got to take him. You know, you take him, and if he's your guy, you plug him in there, and for hopefully, you know, if they're lucky for the next 10, 15 years, you know, you don't got to worry about a quarterback, right? And, you know, when you're in quarterback purgatory like the Giants are, yeah, you see how, right? See how screwed we've been for, you know, ever since Eli retired, right? We're still looking for a long-term solution. Right? I mean, obviously we got Russell Wilson in there, Jameson Winston, but we're still looking for a long-term solution to quarterback. So it's not a nice place to be. Then I seen this here. This is something, an article. So how many top-tier players? That what they did here in this article, they put like different color-coded tier on different tiers. How many top-tier players the Giants have, second-tier, middle of the road players the Giants have, and all that. And obviously, I guess you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out the Giants don't have a plethora of top-tier talents, right? Which is something that they really could use. You need playmakers, right? Like some dude we got from two of them we got from last year, right? The guy in his thumbnail here, right? And Malik Neighbors. You need to have those big-time playmakers, right? Those guys that you get them, you throw them on the field, and they're like, bam! You know what I mean? It's not somebody, well, we draft them, we'll develop them, hopefully in a couple of years it'll be all right. We got to get those, And I said, if the Giants pass on Shedeur and take Carter or Hunter, that's another top-tier player for the Giants, right? Obviously, does not guarantee you victories or anything like that, but it don't hurt. It don't hurt. All right, so this one here, New York Giants roster review, color coding of the starters and the key reserves. Let's see how many top-tier players the Giants actually have. This is from Nick Filato. So Nick Filato does a very thorough job. Giants are less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. We want to take an honest look at the Giants roster ahead of the draft using former Washington and 49er general manager Scott McLaughlin's color-coded scheme inspired by Mark Tyler's article at Hogs Haven. Okay. Here's the color-coded rating system. Blue. Right, there's 5 different color codes. Blue is an all-pro or Pro Bowl player. Right? Red, quality starter, a really good football player. Orange, just an average starter. Right? Could be a little above average, maybe a little below, but just an average starter. Yellow is a below average replacement level. And green, too new or incomplete rating, right? So you got your guys who are just your greenies, right? So blue, right? These are all Pro Bowl players. Giants have 4 of them, I'm sorry. But one of them gets injured all the time. So, right? You should have more than 4. But, obviously, of course, Dexter Lawrence, Malik Neighbors, right? Brian Burns, and, of course, Andrew Thomas, who you don't even know, right? When healthy, Andrew Thomas is really good, obviously, right? Newsflash, right? But, I mean, I get it. I'm not an offensive lineman. I'm not even close. Couldn't do anything close to what these guys, but so once again, But, Andrew Thomas, first game of 2 seasons ago, running down the field, boom, there goes his hamstring. Right? He missed like half the season. Even when he came back, was he even close to 100%? Who knows? Last season, injured. Right? It was like the first domino to fall, I think, on the offensive line. I mean, he's missed a lot of games over the past 2 years. A lot of games. Is he going to be, one of his feet? I mean, is it going to be a reoccurring thing? Can the guy stay healthy? Right? Jimmy Johnson always used to say one thing, right? He said, about players, right? He said, hurt players get hurt. Right? Some guys can just, not get injured. Right? I mean, if we go back from 57 to 65, Jim Brown, right? He was the offense. I mean, now, of course, did he get banged up or nicked up? Absolutely, right? But I think he missed in his 9-year career half a game. In his 9-year career. Half a game. And this was back in the day where cheap shots and guys coming, taking your knees out and stuff like that were commonplace. And he managed to play 9 years. He led after he retired. He was, I think, 29 or some 28, 29, something along those lines. He was young. He led, obviously, the NFL in rushing, which got passed up, eventually. But, let's not forget, when he came into the league in 57, I mean, they were only playing 12-game schedule. 57, 58, 59, and 60. His first 4 years, Jim Brown was playing 12 games. What are we up to, 38 games a season now? I mean, right? And then from 1961 to 65, his final 5 seasons, they played 14 games, right? But he missed half a game. Some guys can just, they're just lucky, gifted, whatever you want to call it. Some guys, other guys, injured players get injured. I mean, it is what it is. But so we'll have to wait and see. Which is going to lead me to our other points in our next topic of conversation here. We're going to be talking a little bit more about Andrew Thomas, right? So we got 4 blue players, right? Which all pro bowlers. Okay, so but we could use some more. The Reds, which is quality starters, meaning a really good football player. Got Kayvon, Javon Holland, Tyrone Tracy Jr. I don't know how he's putting Tyrone Tracy Jr. in there, but I have to disagree with that one. Then the oranges he has, which is just regular run of the, average starters. He has Russell Wilson. Wilson was not a Red over the last 3 seasons, but still threw for 44 touchdowns, 18 interceptions in the previous 2 years for 2 different teams. He's an upgrade for the Giants offense and a comfortable orange. Okay. Jameson Winston, he has as an average starter. Bobby Okereke. Now, the thing is with Bobby Okereke here, this is from Nick Filato. He's got his opinion. I got mine. The thing was with Bobby Okereke, 2 years ago when he was with Wink, under the Wink system, Bobby was everywhere making all kinds of tackles, right? Him and McKinney, I think, played the only 2 guys that played every snap. Now, he did get injured last year. Now he's got a problem with his back, so have to keep an eye out on that. But his tackles went down last season. Now, is that because of the scheme? Right? I mean, if we're back using Wink's system once again, Bobby Okereke maybe last year might have had maybe another 130. I mean, once again, he missed some games because he got injured, but he probably had more tackles. So is he maybe Okereke is taking a step back because of the system he's in? Right? Is Bowen getting the best out of him? Is Bowen putting him in the best position possible to be successful? Right. All right. Then we got Micah McFadden. He's a good starter, absolutely. Chauncey Golston. Paulson Adebo. Very good, very, very good solid starter. Darius Slayton, Wandale Robinson, Jermaine Illuminor, John Runyon Jr., Greg Van Roten, Motor Singletary, Chris Board. Wow, yeah. Well, he's very good. He's a very good special teams player, Board. Chris Manhertz and Daniel Bellinger. What the hell is Theo Johnson at? Theo Johnson is green. Okay, he's too green. All right. Well, the yellows. So the yellows, according to Nick Filato, this would be a below average replacement level. Well, he's not very high on John Michael Schmitz then. We need to see more from the 57 overall selection in the 2023 NFL draft. Yes, we do. You take a center in the 2nd round, that guy should be pretty good. Right? You take a center in the 1st round, that guy better be like an all-pro bowler. Right? 2nd round, the guy should be pretty good. And he's a little something to be desired. He needs to get a little stronger at the point of attack, right? So we got James Hudson, Stone Forsythe. So those are our swing tackles. They have obviously below average players, right? Nacho, yeah. Cordell Flott, no. Flott last season didn't do too bad. It'll be interesting to see because this is his final season. I think this is his fourth season with the Giants. So it'll be interesting to see if the Giants try to bring him back or not. If nothing else, the guy has some depth for you, some good depth for you. But he is a little thin. Let's see. Dane Belton. Right. That's why keep an eye out possibly for the safeties. Right. Now he's got Dane Belton as like a yellow color coded, which means like he could do better. Right. So that's why keep an eye out for safeties, not obviously in the first 5 picks, right? Where we got 3, 34, 65, 99, 105. Yeah. Maybe one of those later, or maybe 105, somewhere around there. Right. We could use a little depth at safety. That's for sure. So if the Giants take a safety, what you'd like to see certainly would be somebody in the offensive line, somebody on the defensive line / edge rusher out of the first 4, right? Out of the 4, whatever, 2 edge rushers, defensive ends, whatever you want to call them, defensive end. Get somebody, somebody there. So like we take Carter, right? He would be an edge rusher, defensive end, right? So you like to get somebody in the offensive line. If it's not early, get somebody, we're going to be talking about offensive line, that next portion of the program. Get somebody in the offensive line who, maybe isn't a plug-and-play player, but somebody, the Giants don't do a good job of this, but somebody, you get second / 3rd round or whatever. We got 2 third-round picks, right, that you can develop. The Giants don't do a phenomenal job of that, right? And somebody in the secondary, get somebody, right? We got a good, solid cornerback with a Debo. We got Javon Holland, good, solid. So we got 2 good safeties, right? We got hopefully with Banks, right? We got 3 good cornerbacks, but you want to start getting some depth in there, right? So where are we at here? And then they got the greens. He has Nick Filato's got the greens, which would be guys are just like too new or incomplete ratings. So the first one he has here with the greens, of course, is Tay Banks. Now, was that exactly incomplete or whatever? Interesting to see what does he do now that he's been demoted. Okay, now he's kind of on the cornerback number 2, right? I'll have to wait and see. So he has Banks here 2 years in, and I hate to say he's too green to evaluate, but the disappointing 2024 season, along with his upside and traits, leaves him undetermined at the moment. He's certainly on shaky ground, though. You got that right. So let's not forget, this is going to be his third season. And a lot of times what Shane says and some other people I've heard say is usually by the 3rd season, that's what you're going to get from the player. Right? That they've kind of maybe reached their ceiling. Right? They're not going to go from a bad player after their 3rd season. They're not going to be an all-pro in their 4th season. It's just, Right? They got Theo Johnson. A foot injury cut his season short. People in the organization love him. He has the potential to jump high up the colors. Yes, he does. But once again, he's got to stay healthy. Drew Phillips. Love what I saw from Phillips last year, but he's still a green for me. One with a lot of upside, though. Yeah, Theo's got a lot of upside. Drew Phillips got a lot of upside. Absolutely. Tyler Newman, same thing. He's got to stay healthy, right? Similar to Phillips, massive upside, and I'm very optimistic about his potential. Absolutely. I think Theo, Phillips, and Newman are going to start, obviously, going up the color scale, shall we say. Elijah Chapman. He has value as a situational pass rusher with some juice. Yes, he does. The dude hustles, though. Gotta love him. Gotta love him for that. Gotta love him for that. Deontay Johnson, yes, hurt last year, but he has potential. He got injured in preseason. The Giants brought him back. Very anxious to see what he can do. Right? Hopefully, once again, if he can stay healthy. Jordan Riley, well, I don't know. A slight step back in 2024 relative to flashes from 2023, still green to me. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he's green or not. I'm not too high. I mean, some good depth, yeah, absolutely. But I'm not so sure if he's going to go skyrocketing up this color scale here, Jordan Riley. Darius Muasau still raw and young, but he did fill in adequately last season. And once again, he was it was a 6th-round pick, 5th-round pick, 6th-round pick. I'm sorry, 6th-round pick. Tyrone Tracy Jr. was the 5th-round pick. Muasau, 6th-round pick. So I mean, he didn't do too bad for a 6th-round pick last year. And Jalen Hyatt. I don't know where to put Hyatt. He has to find the field. I'm including him as a green, but he has more of a chartreuse. Very, very interesting. But I mean, one of the things, it's, which really, really helps, obviously, is having a lot of stars. Some good players that just go on the field. It's like, whoa, where did this guy come from? I mean, it's tough. It's tough to go in there and have a nice offensive line, have all good, have 3 wide receivers. Well, they're all possession receivers, and our running back averages 3.8 yards a carry. He gets the hard yard. You got to have your stars, and usually, once again, it doesn't guarantee you victories, but it helps. It helps a heck of a lot, to have some really, really good players in there. And as I said, the Giants have a real good chance here, right, at number 3 of just, if Carter falls to us, right? I mean, if they're on the boat or on the fence or whatever about Shedeur Sanders, something like that, I ain't no draft expert. Ain't never going to be a draft expert. Ain't never going to claim to be anywhere near a draft expert. The draft experts that I listen to, right, say that Carter's almost like a can't miss prospect, blue chipper, right? You get Carter and he's automatically a blue. He's one of those difference makers, right? So the Giants would go from 4 to 5 difference maker, right? They would add a difference maker in there. So it's hard, or whatever. If Hunter falls home, he would be a difference maker, right? You're adding in another difference maker. So let's not forget, if you go back 2 seasons, right? Well, we had Saquon, right? But I mean, we had Andrew Thomas, we had Dexter Lawrence, and we had Saquon. But I mean, we lost Saquon, right? But last season we did add 2. We got Burnsy in there, we got Malik Neighbors in there, right? So, right. And those play, once again, doesn't guarantee W's, but certainly doesn't hurt either, right? Doesn't hurt. But now the Giants, they do have an opportunity here, right? In this article here from Giants can turn a weakness into a strength. Possibly. Depends upon how they want to go. Do they really want to, where they want to add on the offensive line? All right, so we're talking about the offensive line here. Where do they want to add, right, to their offensive line to hopefully maybe make it a strength, right? Because let's not forget, this is Illuminor's last season under contract anyway. Van Roten, we brought him back again. I love it. I'm fine with that. But he's 34, 35. He can't keep bringing him back on 1-year deals forever, because pretty soon he'll be 40 years old. Andrew Thomas, once again, you don't know how long the guy's going to stay healthy for. I have no idea, right? Hopefully the guy can stay healthy. Do we need a guard? Are we going to try Evan Neal a guard somewhere along the line? Or are we just going to just let him go, right? But so the Giants, have an opportunity here, right? I mean, to add to the offensive line they want, right? So where are we at here? Oh, there we go. All right. So, Giants could turn their weakness into a strength in this year's draft. Yes, they could. It depends upon, once again, where to go. And even still, even if they were to take Carter at number 3 and say whatever, Milroe number 34. Now, if they have to trade up and back into the first round, they're going to take Dart or Milroe or one of those guys, right? it's going to cost them their second round pick, obviously, and probably one of their third round picks that maybe this season, unless they can push it off from a third round pick next season. Who knows? But, one of the things that they would do, they could certainly take an offensive lineman in the third round. And once again, they got 2 third round picks, right? And then they got pick 105 as well, too. So, entering the 2025 NFL Draft, the Giants need to prioritize adding talent to the offensive line. Thankfully, they are positioned to turn this weakness into a strength with one crucial selection. Whoa, one. Yeah, all right. Giants could land a major offensive line upgrade in round 2 of the draft. Well, they could. I mean, it depends. What do they plan on doing at quarterback? Right? Unless they take Shedeur Sanders, right, at number 3. And that frees them up for the rest of the draft to take whoever they want, best player available, right? So Big Blue holds the 34th overall pick in this year's draft, the second pick in the second round. Every year, projected first rounders slip in the draft, and are available at the top of round 2. Every year. Giants will be positioned to land one of those prospects this year, and that prospect could be an immediate impact offensive lineman. Among the top names who could slip into the front of the second round is offensive tackle / offensive guard Greg Zabel out of North Dakota State, Oregon offensive tackle Josh Connolly Jr., or Ohio State's offensive tackle Josh Simmons, and Alabama offensive guard Tate Ratledge. If one of these projected first-round offensive linemen falls into the Giants' lap at number 34 pick, they could turn the position into a strength. Giants' offensive line is mostly solidified with Andrew Thomas, John Runyon Jr., Jermaine Illuminor returning as starters. Greg Van Roten will return as well. However, the Giants would likely prefer to upgrade that spot if possible for the draft. The thing is, my problem is, they're going to try to find out what they got with Evan Neal at guard. I mean, it would be so absolute to me, once again, absolutely ridiculously stupid if they don't try Evan Neal at guard. What do you got to lose? What's going to happen? He's not going to be good? Okay. But at least you know. Right? I mean, he was the best Giants zone run block. His zone run blocking last year was a 90. Right? Not bad. Last time I checked, according to PFF, that's pretty good. Right? I mean, he has a hard time, outside on an island. As a tackle, pass blocking, move him inside, right, where you can go maybe mano a mano, right? Even if you got stunts and twists and all of that, I mean, it's still not as drastic as a guy trying to run around, all the way around, So it would be crazy if they don't try Evan Neal at guard. Absolutely crazy. And John Michael Schmitz will return as a starter at center, obviously, in a make-or-break third season of his career. Now, Luminor has the flexibility to start at either right guard or right tackle, so the Giants can take the best offensive lineman available to plug into either one of those 2 positions. Fortifying the offensive line should be a priority for the Giants. Yes, it should. Absolutely. In last year's draft, they did not select a single offensive lineman, a strategy that looks a bit perplexing in hindsight. This year, they will want to be diligent in adding talent to the unit. Absolutely. Absolutely. As I said, the nice thing would be is that, if the Giants were to add Shedeur Sanders with the number 3 overall pick 34, 34, 65, they can certainly pick up some talent in the offensive line. You got to add to the offensive line. So there's this article here. So the offensive lineman who could interest the Giants, we're looking at a potential second and third day draft prospects. So day 2 options, right? Because remember, the Giants are not, they're not, I would be shocked. They took an offensive lineman with pick 3 overall. Shocked. Unless they were to trade back to number 6 or possibly number 9. Then they could possibly take an offensive tackle, right? That wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be bad at all. They take top 10 offensive. Supposed to be some pretty good offensive tackles in this class coming out too. So, right. But at pick number 3, absolutely not. So if the Giants don't move from pick number 3, right, the first chance or opportunity the Giants would have with picking offensive lineman would be day 2, pick number 34. So now they got Tyler Booker, a guard from Alabama. The powerful Crimson Tide guard has a round 1 to 2 grade from Dane Brugler of The Athletic. If he is somehow available at number 34, the Giants aren't using that pick to select or trade for a quarterback. He has to be a consideration. Brugler calls Booker an immediate starting guard with the tools and competitive character that are easy to bet on. Of course, then you got Donovan Jackson of Ohio State. Brugler has him listed as a tackle after he filled in well there for several games last season. For the Giants, he would be a plug-and-play starter at guard. Right? Tate Ratledge from Georgia. I'm not sure how much upside there is with Ratledge, but he should be a solid player. Brugler says he has the necessary tools for a decade-long pro career. Ratledge played almost exclusively at right guard, the position that may be available on the Giants' offensive line. Then this guy, Jonah, I can't even pronounce his last name, from Arizona. He's a right tackle in 2024. He also has 15 collegiate starts at right guard, and many project guard to be his best position. Chris Flum calls him big, powerful, and surprisingly nimble. Tackle is Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College. Says, my offensive line focus on day 2 is undeniably aiding a guard who can compete for a starting role and give the Giants a long-term option to replace 35-year-old Greg Van Roten. And also a tackle. With Andrew Thomas's injury history and Jermaine Illuminor in the final year of his contract, can't be discounted. So a guard, a plug-and-play guard, or a tackle who can, because I said, once again, this is Illuminor's final season under contract. We can certainly bring him back. Doesn't mean we can't, right? And Andrew Thomas with his injury history. You have no idea. How many games are we going to get from Andrew Thomas this season? According to here, it says, this is from Big Blue View, they have mocked Trapillo to the Giants a few times late in round 3 or round 4. So it means that would be pick 99 or pick 105. I see him as a potential replacement for Illuminor in 2026. Day 3 options, right? Guard and center would be Jackson Slater from Sacramento State. Wow, didn't even know they had a football team. A small school player who is impressed at the Senior Bowl and has reportedly been rising up draft boards. Played guard in college, but has shown center guard flexibility, which would be huge for the Giants. Brugler says Slater projects as a guard center NFL backup with a chance to be more in the right situation. Wyatt Millam from West Virginia, a collegiate tackle. He is probably destined for a guard in the NFL. Then there's the tackles. There's Charles Grant from William & Mary, a small school player who is physically dominant while playing tackle at the FCS level. Brugler has a 3rd-round grade on Grant, who might be in consideration for the Giants with picks number 99 or 105 overall. Holland Pierce, 6'8", 341 pounds. He was a 455-pound high school kid who walked on at Rutgers and made himself into a player with hard work. I had a chance to speak with him a few months ago, and he detailed his journey. Brugler says Pierce projects as a swing backup in the NFL. Then there's Johnny Cornelius from Oregon. I asked Chris if I had overlooked anyone, and Cornelius was the player he pointed out. All of his experiences at right tackle, though he may have ability to move inside to guard the NFL level. So, I mean, this is certainly something, with a question. The Giants need to consider without question, as far as especially because they did not add an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman in the draft last season, right? Which is, right. I mean, let's not forget. I mean, they brought in, a few years ago, DJ Davidson. Okay, they brought in Jordan Riley. Okay, nothing. Right. We did bring in, we brought in Zudu, McKeithen. It's just they're not really working out. Right, so some of the guys we're drafting are not working out. Or some of the guys say maybe Shane's drafting, they're not really working out. He's got to do a better job. But the Giants would be really foolish not to add to their offensive line and defensive line, at least one on each. So look for the Giants, especially if they don't have to trade away any of their picks, right, to move up into the first round to draft a quarterback. Because if they're thinking about, like, say, Milrow, get the M's mixed up, Milrow. If they think they have to jump up into the first round and jump in front of the Steelers to grab Milrow, they're going to have to trade away some draft capital, possibly this season, unless they can push some of it off into next season. But if by their first two rounds, maybe they get themselves a quarterback, right? Then they got picks, 65, 99, and 105. Look for them to take an offensive lineman. I mean, I said, if they take a quarterback in the first round, that opens them up, maybe take an offensive lineman in the second round. But if they take a quarterback in the second round, then one of those 2 third-round picks, if not a fourth-round pick, should be an offensive lineman, without question. Now, once again, this could be just doing their due diligence, right? I mean, they're bringing in all kinds of guys, right? They're hosting Kyle McCord for a 30 visit from Syracuse. Now, he was at Ohio State, transferred over to Syracuse, did very, very well for Syracuse this year. I mean, once again, I mean, this is all, numbers are great and fine and fancy and all that, but we're going to be looking at his competition. It was nothing super spectacular, although the one game he had, again, they beat, it wound up being a very good game. I didn't see it, but I saw some highlights from it. It was when they beat the U in Syracuse against Cam Ward. Well, it was a good showcase for both quarterbacks. They both put on very good shows. Let me tell you, Cam Ward and McCord did very, very good. But so the Giants are bringing McCord in, but I mean, if we look here, right, who we faced last season, okay? All right. They beat Ohio from the MAC conference. They played 4 teams, okay, who were in the top 25. That was it. They played Georgia Tech, who was 23 at the time. They played Nevada, Las Vegas, who was 25 at the time. They played Pitt, who was 19. And then their final game of the season before their bowl game, that's when they beat Miami in Syracuse, 42-38. I mean, it was great game from the highlights I saw. I said both guys, Ward and McCord, both had well over 300 yards passing. I think McCord had like 3 touchdown passes. Ward had 2. Neither one threw an interception. It was a good offensive explosion. But I mean, Syracuse, right? They played Ohio, Georgia Tech. They played Stanford, who was not very good. They played Holy Cross, Nevada, Las Vegas, North Carolina State, Pitt, Virginia Tech, Boston College, California, Connecticut, and then they beat Washington State in the bowl game. Plus, they played Miami. So I mean, they did not have super duper unbelievable, top ranked talent that they were playing against week in and week out. But McCord did not disappoint. He had 66% completion, 4,779 yards. He threw almost 600 passes, 34 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He had 367 yards per game. Okay, not too shabby. Let's see what I got here. Let's see. I think I got his stats here. Here we go. Okay. Now, his first 3 seasons were with Ohio State. 2021 and 2022, he threw a grand total of 41 passes. This was probably when Ohio State was beating whoever. I don't know, Kentucky State, A&I University, 59-0 halfway through the second quarter. They put McCord in there, right? So he got some backup role, right? Whatever. So he only threw 41 passes his first 2 seasons. 2023, When he was a junior at Ohio State, he threw 229 passes, 348 attempts, completed 229. 65.8%, but once again, Ohio State is always chock full of good talent. He had 24 touchdown passes, 6 interceptions, right? Then he would transfer to Syracuse, right? Obviously, once again, so he transferred to Syracuse, McCord, and once again, he did very good numbers. The talent he was playing with was not Ohio State level, but the competition he was going up against was not Ohio State level. So, but he did dominate, right, in lower competition. Right? So he had almost 5,000 yards passing, which is, pretty darn good, right? But so the Giants brought him in once again, just doing their due diligence. Maybe they might like what they see with him, and it's like, yeah, we might be able to get this dude in the 3rd round. You never know, right? Let's not forget, because with Wilson and Winston, we don't need a quarterback this season. We could use one for long term, absolutely. Giants could also maybe wait for next season when there might be some more quarterbacks to pick from, especially in the 1st round. But they don't need one. But is this there? Yep, there we go. All right, so the Syracuse quarterback Kyle McCord set to visit the New York Giants ahead of the draft. Kyle McCord is making the rounds ahead of the 2025 draft. According to Fox's Jordan Schultz, McCord is visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers and then the New York Giants. McCord, who led the nation in passing last season, has acquitted himself well throughout the draft process with a series of good interviews and impressive on-the-board work. Which is obviously to what you saw. Remember what we saw. Remember in Hard Knocks last season, right? When Daniels was in, and right, and Dave was sitting down, and he's had the guys up. So tell you, all right, make the X Y, make the Y a Z, put this guy over here, this guy, put this a too high safety. What are we going to call? Or what are we going to do? Or where are you going to throw the ball? He likes that. He loves that. Right. So if you do, once again, writing stuff on a chalkboard and standing in a pocket with 37 guys ready to rip your head off while you're trying to read a defense and complete a pass is 2 different things, right? But Dable does like to see guys who perform well on the chalkboard, right? Because it's not like Dable just doesn't say, so just run up there and just draw a play up. What do you like to do? Yeah, it's cool. No, Dable's like he tests them. Now the one thing was, it's kind of funny because when he had Daniels in there last year, and this was from Hard Knocks, he I don't know, I think he changed the play on him. He got the X to the Y, make the Y and X, a Z over here, but whatever, but this, that, and the other thing. Right, so what are you gonna do? And Daniel's like looking around, and throw a touchdown pass. Dave was like, all right, I like that. I'm not sure if that's the answer he was looking for or what, but that's what Daniel said. Throw a touchdown pass. The senior signal caller is coming off a standout pre-draft process. Once again, a lot of times every year. Now, is McCord jumping up, flying up the boards into the 1st round? No. But there's always guys, especially quarterbacks, who just seem to start going up. Remember McCarthy last year? He's supposed to be like I don't know, whatever, 2nd, 3rd round pick, and all of a sudden he seemed like he was Jesus Christ last year. He's like the greatest quarterback. He was shooting up the boards. Well, you always got guys, especially when you get to sit down and talk to them, pick their brains, see what they know on the board. And all, guys do shoot up the board. So he was standout pre-draft process, including his appearance at the NFL Combine. So, once again, you got to give guys a lot of credit who go to the Combine. A lot of credit, because they're not throwing to their own players, right? I mean, everybody, the receivers. I don't know, who is this guy? I don't know. Okay, nice. Your name's John. Okay, hi John. Yeah. When you got your own pro day, you got your own receivers, you got your own coach telling you what to do this, and everything's all nice. You're at your own home, right? Inside, all nice and comfortable and everything. Now, see, the NFL Combine's about adversity. What are you going to do, right? This guy's gonna whatever run a 10 and out, a 15 and out. He's gonna run a sluggo or something. I don't know. Does the guy run 10 yards and does he take 2 steps out? Does he take 1 step out? I don't know what he does. Does he round the route out, or does he break it down and crisp on the out? I don't know what the hell this guy does. Right? That's why a lot of times, sometimes see some guys in the combine, they look kind of silly because they're throwing guys that passes and balls that they're not familiar with the receivers, right? That's why the pro day, you know how the guys run the routes, right? So with McCord, his college numbers speak for themselves. McCord led the nation in passing yards last season and set the ACC's all-time single-season record with 4,779 passing yards. He also topped the ACC in completions at 391. I mean, you get almost 400 completions in a season. I mean, jeez. And not only that, but yards per game, 367 yards per game, right? Earning second team all ACC honors, right? Not all American honors, not second team all America, second team all ACC. Okay. But once again, does that mean he can't play in the pros? Absolutely not. His visit to the Steelers marks the latest Pittsburgh quarterback evaluation. McCord is the 4th quarterback prospect to meet with the team. While McCord visits the Giants, he could run into former Syracuse quarterback Tommy Chicken Cutlet Parmesan, right? DeVito played with the Orange from 2018 to 2021 until he transferred to Illinois. So, all right, we got all right, McCord, who transferred from Ohio State to Syracuse before the 2024 season, is generally considered a mid-round possibility in the draft. So, you're looking at like maybe a 3rd, 4th round pick. So maybe for the Giants, 99, 105, maybe. If the Giants haven't taken a quarterback, then right? Giants are known to have hosted quarterbacks Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, Jalen Milroe, and Tyler Shaw. They're also said to have spent considerable time with Jackson Dart. The last day for in-person visits to the team facilities is Wednesday, this Wednesday coming up. That is also the day Giants general manager Joe Shane is scheduled to speak to media for his pre-draft press conference. So, oh boy, lucky, yeah, geez. Lucky him. He's got to speak to he spoke to the media at the NFL, the owners meeting a couple weeks ago. So I guess now he's gonna wind up speaking once again to the media once again. Of course, everything they're going to want to know is about who they're going to take at number 3, or what they like with the quarterbacks, or this, that, the other thing. But so the Giants, their tracker, right? Who they had brought in for 30 visits, guys that pre-draft, this, that, and the other thing. Mr. Scatterbo here, or whatever, Cam, right? He would be nice addition to the running back room. Let me tell you what, but we'll have to wait and see. But the Giants, all right, let's see here. Let me get this off here. The Giants, that's done a lot of due diligence. Here, right? They've spent a lot of time with a lot of players, right? So, the Giants' 2025 draft prospects visit tracker. That's a lot of T's. This is their 30 visits that they've had guys come in. Marcus Embo, Purdue, an offensive lineman. Shedeur Sanders, and of course they're having a private workout with Shedeur on Thursday in Boulder. Abdul Carter, Joshua Farmer, a defensive lineman from Florida State. Cam Ward, who probably isn't even going to be available to him, but you have to do your due diligence, right? Shamar Stewart, an edge rusher from Texas A&M. Siobhan Ravel, a cornerback from East Carolina. Quinshawn Judkins, running back from Ohio State. They said, I mean, I like Motor, I like Tracy, but we could certainly use, certainly can use somebody else. I mean, because between Tracy, Motor, and Eric Gray, Turbo Miller, but I'm not sure. He's small, fast, but he's small. I mean, it's not the most. Once again, the Giants got a lot of holes to fill, right? But it's not the most impressive running back room in the league, for sure. I mean, if the Giants were to take a running back like in the third round or something, third or fourth round, I'd be fine with that. Yeah, because I'm not sure what they think of Eric Gray. Yeah. All right, so we got. They have brought in a few running backs, though, right? Let's see, Judkins, or Judkins, I'm not exactly sure, from Ohio State, a running back. Ollie Gordon, a running back from Oklahoma State. Arroyo, a tight end from Miami. Tyler Shaw, I guess it would be. Quarterback from Louisville. Jalen Milroe, quarterback from Alabama. Hampton, a running back from North Carolina. Scattaboo, running back from Arizona State. They brought in, 1, 2, 3, 4 for 30 visits. 4 running backs for 30 visits. I mean, Scattaboo in that, I can't remember what bowl game that was. Was it against Texas? I think it was. I mean, he did everything. He was tough to tackle. Let me tell you what, tough to tackle. Donovan Jackson, a guard from Ohio State. Alfred Collins, a defensive tackle from Texas. Williams, a wide receiver from TCU. We're going to talk a little bit more about him in very shortly here. Colin Oliver, a linebacker from Oklahoma State. Corey Black, a cornerback from Oklahoma State. Kyle McCord, quarterback from Syracuse, right? And Darius Alexander, defensive tackle from Toledo. Then they had their local pro days. Now, these are guys, right, from, well, a lot of them were from Rutgers. Rogers, a cornerback from Rutgers. Manangai, a running back from Rutgers. Christian Dremel, a wide receiver from Rutgers. Holland Pierce, an offensive tackle from Rutgers. Longerbeam, Robert Longerbeam, a cornerback from Rutgers. Tyreen Powell, a linebacker from, you got it, Rutgers. Then Vanover, an edge rusher from Penn State. Ogwu, an edge rusher from Miami of Ohio. Ethan Robinson, a cornerback from Minnesota. Cone, a running back from American International. And Howard Cross, ding, 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 former Giant. Howard Cross III, a defensive tackle from Notre Dame. All right, and we got pro day meetings. Jake Majors, a center from Texas. Carson Schwessinger, a linebacker. It doesn't say from what school he's from. Phil Maffa, a running back from Clemson. So the Giants have brought a lot of running backs in. So look for them. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if they take a running back. And, maybe not waiting to the last pick of the draft to take a running back. So let's see. Now they've had combine visits. Mason Graham, a defensive tackle from Michigan. He might be somebody in the play for the Giants if the Giants were to slide back, just say to number 6 with the Raiders. Mason Graham might be in play if that was the case. And put him right next to Sexy. Tyler Warren, oh yeah, this dude, yeah, he's all that and a bag of Doritos. A tight end from Penn State. Have him and Theo on the same team, but I don't see the Giants doing that. Jason Walker, an edge rusher from Georgia. Maliki Starks, a safety from Georgia. Shamar Stewart, an edge rusher from Texas A&M. Alfred Collins, a defensive tackle from Texas. Caleb Johnson, running back from Iowa. Jake Sawyer, a linebacker from Ohio State. Jacob Bayer, an inside offensive lineman from Arkansas State. Then they had Senior Bowl, Jacob Bayer, an inside offensive lineman from Arkansas State. So they I guess they had a couple meetings with him. Shrine Bowl, Brooks, a running back from Texas Tech. Hassan 9, I'm going to say defensive end from Boise State. Then they had some virtual meetings via Zoom. Oh, Etanine, Caleb, Etienne. I'm going to say Etienne. Caleb Etienne, an offensive tackle from BYU. Felton, a wide receiver from Maryland. B.J. Adams, a defensive back from UCF, Central Florida, University of Central Florida. Khalil Diggs, a defensive end from Syracuse. Jarquez Hunter, a running back from Auburn, another running back. And Jackery Krosky Merritt, a running back from Arizona. And Treshawn Holden, a wide receiver from Oregon. So the Giants have had a lot of, obviously a lot of contact. It's just not them. It's, big board. All the teams that do all the due diligence, yes, but you do notice that the Giants have trotted in a lot of running backs. So once again, don't be surprised if the Giants, I say, not that, I'm not saying get rid of Tracy. I'm certainly not saying bench him. I got Tracy has some upside to him. That's for darn sure. Good receiver. And you saw if you give the guy some holes, right? He took a couple to the house last year, right? So, right, that was a good draft pick, very, very good draft pick. But you're not sure, we're not going to have Motor Singletary around forever. I'm not sure what they think about Eric Gray, right? So, adding maybe a running back may not be a bad thing. May not be a bad thing at all. All right. Now this here, okay, I'm not so sure with this. Now you always want to add, something in the secondary. Okay, now whether it's a cornerback or a safety, right? Now we did bring it. We signed a really good, high quality cornerback, right, with the Debo. We signed obviously a really good safety with Holland, right? So we got 2 good safeties. Hopefully we got 3 good cornerbacks if Banks, right, decides to play a little football this season. But so we're not necessarily looking to add to the secondary early on. We're not taking a safety in the first round, not taking a safety in the second round. If by chance we were to land Hunter at number 3, well, you just killed 2 birds with one stone. You added some firepower to the offense, and you got somebody who could possibly play the cornerback position. So, right. I said, but usually you like to add somebody to the offensive line, somebody to the defensive line, and somebody to the defensive secondary every year. Right. So our safeties, after the top 2, right, Newman and Holland, it's a little, the depth is not super spectacular there, shall we say, right? We got Belton, but right. So look for the Giants, to add somebody in the secondary. Now it's a good draft, for cornerbacks. It's a good draft. I'm going to share my screen here. All right, there we go. All right, I got 17,000. Let me see here. Percent share screen. There we go. All right, here we go. All right, here's the big board, PFF. Right. So of course, cornerbacks. Right. As I said, Travis Hunter is the first one. Right. So I said, so if we, we would really be. I'm not saying we would be a top 5 secondary, nothing, but it would be a huge upgrade for the Giants this season, right? We added a Debo, Holland, and we would bring Hunter in. I mean, we would have, we'd have some young studs, and they're all young too. Really young, good secondary we would have, right? Now, of course, these guys here. Now, Will Johnson, he has fallen. He was in the top, certainly going back a month or so ago anyway. He was certainly in the top 10. He was in the top, I don't know, 7 or 8 or 7, somewhere around there, 7 or 8. He was up there. I don't know why, but he's slipped a little bit over this past few weeks. Not sure why. But you got Barron from Texas once again. Johnson. We're not taking a cornerback. That's just not happening. Even we slide back number to number 9, we're not taking any of these guys. That's not happening. That would just be stone cold crazy, right? But then you notice here, right? So according to PFF, this is their top guys, right? Will Johnson is the 14th ranked overall player, right? Coming out in the draft, he's ranked even higher than Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward last time I looked was like number 17 or something like that. So. Right. But, once again, I couldn't possibly see the Giants taking a cornerback with pick number 34. Just couldn't see that happening. I mean, that would just be kind of crazy, right? We have so many other holes to fill, right? But, there's quite a few quarterbacks here, right? Got Amos from Ole Miss, Morrison from Notre Dame, Hairston from Kentucky, right? Ravel from East Carolina, Porter from Iowa State, Thomas from Florida State, Strong. That is, as I say, the thing is here, right, is that we could use somebody on the defensive line, somebody in the offensive line. We're not sure what we're doing with quarterback at all. We got our starters. We're not looking. Meaning in the secondary, meaning safety and cornerback. We got our starters. Okay, we'll have to wait and see how things pan out with Banks. Right? Is he going to step up this season? Right? Because especially now he's going to cornerback number 2. The talent level should subside a little bit. Right? So he shouldn't be going against the number 1 wide receiver week in, week out, play in, play out. Right? So hopefully he should perform a little bit better. Being demoted, hopefully, should light a fire under his rear end and make him play a little bit better, right? But I mean, as of right now, if everybody stays healthy, we got Holland and Newman, we got our safeties, right? Debo, Phillips, Banks, we got our 5, right? You certainly could use, as I said, we got Hawkins the 3rd, right, as a backup cornerback. We got Flott. We got Belton. We got some, obviously some safeties, but you can always use somebody in the secondary. Now, once again, where do the Giants pull the trigger on a cornerback or safety in the draft there? As I said, unless, which might happen, unless they're sitting at pick 105 or 99. And there's a cornerback there who has like a 2nd round grade or something like that. And it's like, what the heck is this guy still doing? Maybe if something crazy were like that to happen, I could see maybe pulling the trigger on that. But, I would imagine if they were going to grab somebody in the secondary, it would be anywhere from pick 105, maybe on back. Hunter and Travis played against Notre Dame of Ohio competition. Hunter and Travis or Travis Hunter played against Notre Dame of Ohio competition. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure there. Now I know Abdul Carter played against Notre Dame, right, in the playoffs. And he played good. He had an injured shoulder and everything like that. Really, really good. But let me see here. Hold on here. Hold on. Hunter and Travis. Hold on here. Travis. Is there Travis here? What can I say? Travis Hunter. Yeah. But I know Colorado didn't play Notre Dame this year. Tanner Strong, Parrish. No. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, if one of these guys here were maybe, to fall, I could see the Giants maybe pulling the trigger on a cornerback, maybe pick 105, or maybe one of their later round picks. But you can see, I mean, there's a lot of, pick, according to PFF, their 103rd ranked player is a cornerback, Strong from Virginia Tech. Parrish from K-State, 107. Williams, his player, 116. Player 120 is Bryant, a cornerback from Kansas. Pick 127 is Dotson, a cornerback from Kansas. 149 from Rutgers, 152, 165, 167, 78, 88. So there are a lot of cornerbacks. Once again, all according to PFF. That's all I'm going by here. How everybody else has them on their draft board, who knows? But there are a lot of cornerbacks that the Giants can certainly draft if they need one. For some depth, right? Later on, they're not taking one obviously with the first or second pick. I said unless they get to grab Hunter. They grabbed Hunter, right? They're killing two birds with one stone to get themselves a really good wide receiver, and they're getting somebody who can play cornerback as well too. That's why you also kind of possibly hear that the Browns may be leaning toward drafting Hunter at number 2, right? Which of course would open up the question, the $64,000 question: who are the Giants going to take maybe at number 3? Giants going to wind up taking Shedeur Sanders, or the Giants going to wind up taking Abdul with number 3, unless the Giants trade out. Now, something here the Giants can certainly use as well, too. Now, unless somehow Hunter falls to them at number 3 and they were to take Hunter. There's a lot of wide receivers here. The Giants could certainly use some because we're not sure what's going on with Jalen Hyatt. I mean, is he ever going to start getting the reps he was kind of hoping for? I mean, because last year was kind of like a forgotten guy, MIA, missing in action, right? So I'm not exactly sure what's going to wind up happening there. I mean, the Giants, it's a shame. The Giants traded up to get the guy, right? And he's got a lot of speed, but right, did bring Slayton back. Okay, but we got Malik, we got Wandale, we got Slayton. Those are our starting 3s. Now we could certainly use, some guys, some depth in case somebody gets injured. So, but there are a lot of wide receivers. Once again, I can't see the Giants wind up drafting McMillan, right, from Arizona, but he's up there as well too. He's a unbelievable talent. But the Giants aren't taking a wide receiver with number 3 pick. I'm going to say unless Hunter falls to him, right? So we'll have to wait and see. So I'm going to share my screen once again, and I'm going to go change the position here. We'll go from cornerback, and we'll go to wide receiver. Bam! There we go. All right. So we got McMillan. So you'll notice that PFF has Hunter listed as a more or less kind of like as a cornerback. You'll notice he's not listed here as a wide receiver, right? But, I mean, there are some really good wide receivers here. Once again, I mean, the Giants ain't taking McMillan. I mean, we got too many other holes to fill. We have our dog. We got our number 1 wide receiver. Do could we use some good depth behind him, or somebody, maybe on the opposite side of him? Sure, absolutely. I mean, I said, if we were to get Hunter, if he would have fallen on our laps at number 3, man, if we went 4 wide, we'd have Travis Hunter, we could have Slayton, right? Wandale Robinson and Malik Neighbors. Whew, that would be nice, right? Burden the third from Missouri, Egbuka from Ohio State, and Golden from Texas. Those are the guys basically in the top first round, shall we say? Once again, all according to PFF. That's all I'm going by here. But then again, once again, you got other guys here. Now, what I found very interesting, and I was shocked. There's two guys from Iowa State on this list, like in the top, 75 or so. I was shocked. I mean, Iowa State having two top wide receivers. Whew. They might go in the first 3 rounds or so. Wow. So they got Higgins at number 36. Where's the other guy at? 78. They got Noel. So they got a guy in the third round, a second round, maybe Jalen Noel might go in the third round. Two guys from Iowa State, wide receivers. But what you will notice here, right? I mean, there's a lot of wide receivers. A lot of it's just kind of like more like pick your flavor. What do you need? Do you need somebody tall? Do you need a possession guy? You need somebody who's short, maybe to back up Wandale Robinson, right? I mean, you got Higgins here, right? Once again, the Giants ain't taking a wide receiver in the second. That's not happening. But Higgins is 6'4", right? Then you got Jack Beck from TCU, at number 40. Then you got Royals from Utah State, who's number 61. Williams from Washington State is number 65. Trey Harris from Ole Miss is number 71. Number 75 is Restrepo from the U. Number 78 is Jalen Noel, right, from Iowa State. Then you go back to 101, right? But you got 112, 132, 137, 148, 151, 54, 160, 64, 75, 77, 79. I mean, geez. I mean, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. They got 25 wide receivers, according to PFF. That's all I'm going by here, right? They have 25 wide receivers in the top 200 players coming out in this draft. That's a lot of wide. That's basically 1 out of every 8 players, according to PFF, being ranked, right, is a wide receiver. So there's a ton of wide receivers coming out in this draft. Now, as I said, the Giants did wind up bringing back, Slayton, right? So we got Slayton, right? We still got Hyatt. We got Wandale Robinson. We got Malik Neighbors. A few other guys as well. But could we use some younger? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't be surprised if the Giants, take somebody later on. Once again, I don't, as I said, quarterback, right? Offensive line and defensive line would be paramount, important, very, very important for the Giants this season in the draft. So once again, they brought in a lot of running backs, right? For 30 visits and all that. So don't be surprised that the Giants, don't be surprised when the Giants do take a running back. But I mean, the Giants are going to take a wide receiver, one of the later round picks. Absolutely. As I said, that once again, a lot of it just kind of like pick your flavor. Got guys 6 foot tall, 6'3". Restrepo is 5'10", 5'11". Savion Williams from TCU is 6'5", 225. Giants don't have that. Yeah, I mean, with between like Jalen Hyatt, right, Slayton, Robinson, and Malik Neighbors, they don't have a 6'5" guy, right? Well, they did sign a couple guys though. But I mean, if they want somebody that they've drafted, right, a young guy, there's Tisla, whatever, from Arkansas, is 6'4". Tez Johnson is 5'10". So a lot of it's just like pick your flavor. What do you need? Right? There's plenty of guys out here, you know. So I mean, once again, you know, the Giants, you know, they've spent a lot of time, you know, scouting these guys. Right? A lot of time, you know, they got guys that they have in mind. You know, so we'll have to wait and see. But you know, it's only actually right now. So it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning here on the Eastern Coast. We got about 9 days until the draft. Man, crazy, huh? All right, guys, it's been 1 hour and 40 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you, thank you, thank you. If anybody's going to spend any time watching a replay this, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah.